Hi, I'm Dawn Montefusco, Transformational Writing Coach, and this is the healing power of words. Create with passion and write powerful stories that have impact. And today, I'm just going to say, Sam, one of my favorite writers and authors and creators. She's a creator of many, many things. And I'm going to read her bio because I love it. Originally from Chicago, Samantha Bennett is a writer, speaker, actor, teacher, and creativity productivity specialist and the author of the best-selling Get It Done: From Procrastination to Creative Genius in 15 Minutes a Day, which we're going to talk about, which Seth Godin, who I love, called an instant classic, essential reading for anyone who wants to make a ruckus. Her latest bestseller, Start Right Where You Are: How Little Changes Can Make a Big Difference for Overwhelmed Procrastinators, Frustrated Overachievers, and Recovering Perfectionists. She is the creator of the organized artist company dedicated to helping tens of thousands of creative people get unstuck, helping them to focus and move forward on their goals. Sam has also written the script for the hit musical In a Booth at Chasen's, I believe I said that right, and is working on her latest book, Secrets of Highly Creative People. Sam, people say, don't read the bio, and I gotta. You're so good. I just want everyone to know about you on so many levels. I was like, no, I'm reading the bios, especially yours.
Thank you. And it's good to get a little context, because it's one thing to hear good advice or any advice, but then to be able to go, well, she might know a little. Nobody knows everything, but there's a little,
Well, tell us you said you're working on a new book. So tell us that or any other projects you're working on.
I am working on a new book. It's a little sort of in the delicate laboratory stage, so we'll leave that aside for right now. I'll come back and talk about that when it's a little further along. But I will say I'm just like in the popcorn popper with it, and it keeps changing, and I think I know what I'm writing, and then I don't, and then I change my mind, and then it's something else, and then it turns out
it is.
And it's, so.
Keep saying that though. Say that a little bit more. Everybody listen, please, because I know my clients talk about it. It's a popcorn thingy at first.
It's a popcorn thing. It's like it's swimming at the bottom of the ocean. I mean, it's sort of everything all at once, and I think that the main thing. David Milch, who's a television producer, he created a lot of great shows. I believe it was David Milch who said, everything you think about writing when you are not writing is bullshit.
Ooh.
And that's really true. Like, I'll be in the shower or out walking or hanging around and sort of thinking, oh God, is this really any good? I don't even know what I'm saying. Does anybody care about this? And it's like, and that's all bullshit. When I sit down to write, it's like, okay, what am I saying? Oh, how do I say that? Oh, that's a good point. Oh, I should write that.
Yes.
When you're in it starts to happen, and this idea that you're supposed to know what it is ahead of time.
Tell me about it.
You'll never know. You can't know what it is ahead of time. You have to get in there and do it.
I love that you just said that. People they're like, but what if my cousin's ex-boyfriend's aunt, who used to know my mother, she's going to read the book? I'm like, you didn't even start the book. You don't even know what the book's about.
Letting imaginary people with imaginary opinions about a project you haven't even started yet stop you from doing your project. That's not using your imaginative powers for good. If you're going to imagine an outcome, why not imagine all the people who are standing there with their American Express cards?
Yes.
So eager.
I call that, one day I came up with it and I said, stop writing to the critic and write to the lover.
Right to the fan, exactly.
Yeah, right to the fan. Oh, that's good. And one of the things is, I've actually said this to people, which then I catch myself. I'll say, oh, a hike. I'll look it up on my phone. I don't know. Tell me. They're like, you can't see the hike from the phone. Really? And I was like, oh, I did it. So anyway, I'm a complete. I have been guilty of that myself. One of the things I know we can agree with is that we live in a very strange time in history. But I believe that now is the best time in all of human history to be a writer of any genre, and specifically to tell truths and stories and create. I mean, how do you feel about that in today's strange times? I mean, I think that in terms of the healing power of words, there's the healing that we have when we write, which is awesome and very important. But there's also like, let's get it out there. Now is the time.
Yeah. I mean, two things are true. One is, now is absolutely the only time to be writing, the most important time to be writing. Why? Because it's now. Now is the only time we have.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Right? You couldn't have done it before now. And how do we know that? Because you didn't.
Yeah.
So you couldn't have, right? You've done lots of other things. It wasn't the right time, right? And you can't do it in the future because that hasn't happened yet. So, and this is point two about what is happening, in our world, other than the sort of existential truth of you have to write now because now is all there is. There's that.
There's that.
Nothing like, a global crisis to really make us aware of all the things over which we have no control.
Ooh.
Almost everything that's going on out there, we have almost no control over.
Right.
Very, very little, almost no control over. And P.S., that's always true.
Yeah.
That's always true. We just feel like it's more true other times.
Totally.
But we're really aware of how powerless we are to change the world.
Oh.
However, everything that's happening in here and everything that's happening right here, what our mind does and what our hands and feet do, we have almost 100% control over.
That's true. Yeah.
Not entirely, but almost.
Almost.
So to put your attention on the locus of control, to take the place of power, the moment of power and the place of power, and to use it for good, for storytelling. Because stories are what make us human.
Yeah.
Stories are what change the world. Stories are what connects us. Stories are everything. You can go 3 weeks without food. You can go 3 days without water. You can't go 3 seconds without telling yourself a story about what's going on.
It's so true.
Right? So those of you who are storytellers, those of you who know you've got something inside of you that has to come out, you have an idea, you have a thought, you have half a thought, the beginning of a thought. This is the moment, like, get it down. And just like Dawn said, it'll change you, it'll heal you. And when it hits the air, it'll change your world. And the minute somebody else reads it, it'll change them. And then the project will be changed and you'll be changed back. Like, that's the alchemy of art, right?
Alchemy of art. Oh my gosh. Did you write that book yet? That's your next book.
Yeah, well, I'll be right back.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. That's seriously rad. So I had the honor again to interview Gay Hendricks, and he said something, and I know that you've had this experience because you're up there with him. He was saying, I've had hundreds of, over time, he's like, I've had big shots in my office. They hire me for one-on-ones, and you both are not small potatoes. You're expensive. So if people are going to be doing that one-on-one stuff with you, they really need, and he's like, these men and women have, boats, millions of dollars, every car they need, sending their kids to the best school, and they'll come in and they'll say, I feel dead inside. I've done all this, but I'm not creating. And something that you both have in common, but you really specify in both of your books, everybody go get your books, is that small tweaks, 15 minutes a day, can literally change your life. So say you've got the person who's on welfare, who's broke, who's on food stamps, who's really, 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 really struggling. And they're like, I don't know what my life's all about. The extreme to the other side, if they're not being creative and they don't know what their life is about either. But then there's people who hire people like you and say, help me get through this. Tell us about that 15 minutes a day and why it's so important.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack in what you just said. First of all, Gay's wife, Katie, is a good friend of mine. They don't live very far away. So Katie and I have breakfast all the time. So
I love that. That makes me happy.
She's the best. I haven't met him yet, but we're just girlfriends. But
man, she's awesome.
He's awesome. And I fangirl about Gay all the time. He's just amazing.
Yeah, and they wrote those books together. Totally.
Anyway, so it just makes me happy to hear her name. Okay, so this thing of I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm here for. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know how to make an impact. I don't know how to feel satisfied. These are in some ways unanswerable questions, right? It's not like anybody, Gay Hendricks included, I think, was waking up in the morning going, yep, I've got this life stuff dialed.
Yeah, he even said that. He says he does not.
I feel great all the time. Like no one, right? And I live with depression and anxiety and just live in the world, right? It's a thing. So it's a little bit back to that David Milch thing, like what you think about what you're doing isn't really the issue. The point is, what are you doing?
Right.
And what I know is that, and most of the times we psych ourselves out because again, we're trying to think of the whole thing. We're trying to think, is this a good idea? Well, you don't know yet. You are a terrible judge of your ideas. You may have noticed you are a terrible judge of your own work. You are a terrible judge of your ideas. It is not your job to judge your work. It is not your job to judge your ideas. It is your idea it is your job to humble yourself to the idea and do the work.
Yes.
And I hear all the time, I'm procrastinating, I'm overwhelmed, procrastinating, I'm overwhelmed. And I have a new theory. Dawn, I haven't said this out loud to anybody, but I'm going to say it to you. My new theory is that the word overwhelmed is the grown-up word for tantrum.
Yes.
It's just years of like, I don't even know. There's so many things and I don't have the time and I don't think I can do it. Like overwhelm.
Okay, by the way, you're freaking me out. And I'm going to say this out loud. And I've never said this in public either. My story, my therapist coach, who's awesome, has helped me very gently realize, she's like, if you are going to live with the story that you're overwhelmed, she's like, you're going to live a miserable life.
That's right.
Like, because all overwhelm means is you're not present. There's nothing overwhelming about right now.
That's right.
And she had me like look at my feet, and because we both have anxiety and depression. Sam and I have a very unique kind, actually. And but my story from my mother, by the way, and I think from society.
Oh, sure.
Is this whole, I'm overwhelmed. So whenever I go to say it now, I go, no, I'm feeling
right.
Let me look at my schedule. Let me see, like, what was it? Let's see about that. Let me think about that for a minute. Cause maybe it's a boundary I just need to create. Maybe it's a no, maybe it's a yes. But if I sit in this, you just called me out of my shit.
I'm telling you what, it's my new thing. It's a tantrum. It's just a plain old tantrum, which is fine. You're allowed to have a tantrum. Just like children are. You're allowed to have feelings, but then we get over it. Then we take a nap and have a drink of water and get up and get to work, right?
No, yeah, totally.
So the 15 minutes a day is designed to, what I recommend is spending 15 minutes a day on whatever project, whatever idea it is that matters to you, a writing project or any other, and do it before you check your email.
Right.
Before you check your email. Before you check your email.
Say it again.
Before you check social media, before you check the news feed, before any of it, do your writing first. Partly because you know how it is, you check your email and all of a sudden it's 3 p.m. and nothing's happened. You get on the news feed or social media and now everybody else's voice is in your head.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
No.
Right? So do it first thing. Do it before you even get out of bed. Just keep a notebook at the side of your bed.
Yeah.
Right? To have a computer and turn off the internet, whatever you want to do.
Totally.
Right? And here's the thing with the 15 minutes. First of all, we're all busy people. That whole, I'm going to write for 3 hours a day. Really? What 3 hours do you have? Because I don't have 3 hours unless I block out 3 hours. I mean, now I'm in a writing schedule.
Right. So actually, it's different.
That's different,
yeah.
But I don't do that all the time. Some people do. It's designed, but you do have 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like, oh, my boss needs me, my children need me, my job needs me. Not for 15 minutes, they don't. Mm-hmm. Get over yourself. They'll be fine, right? And it's designed to hopscotch right over your perfectionism, because how perfect is it going to be in 15 minutes, right? And you're going to do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And the cumulative effect of 15 minutes is, I mean, I have a client who's been writing for over 550 days in a row, every day, at least 15 minutes a day, sometimes for several hours.
Wow.
Crosses the off. And she does that Jerry Seinfeld thing of crossing the.
Yeah, totally.
She doesn't want to break the chain, right?
Totally. For those of you that know, Jerry Seinfeld is famous for, he wasn't writing. So he put like old fashioned calendar and he put a red mark on X. And then he realized he loved to see the X and he wasn't going to break the chain. And so he started writing better and better and better and better. And now he's Jerry Seinfeld.
His commitment was to write a joke a day. And so he put
that's right. That's right. A joke a day. That's right.
And he still does it.
Yeah.
As far as I know. Anyway. And what you'll get, see, and it's only hard the first couple of times because eventually you'll start to want to do it and you'll feel weird when you don't do it. It's like when you work out a lot.
Totally.
You know, it's hard to make yourself go, but then once you get in the groove,
or drinking a lot of water. Like I notice if I'm drinking a lot of water consistently and then all of a sudden I go a day without it, I'm like, whoa, I feel weird. I feel parched. Yeah, totally.
And that whole, you know, I hear a lot like, well, it's selfish. It's selfish of me to spend time on my own writing, on my own work, on my own thing. And I'm here to tell you, it's the opposite of selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's what's actually selfish is you walking around exhausted and stressed out and with no sense of humor, and the rest of us have to deal with you when you're like that.
Wow. Preach.
Right?
Preach.
On the other hand, you spend 15 minutes a day on your thing, and then you get that delightfully smug feeling.
Yeah.
Of like, I did my thing. I worked on my thing. I did my thing. And then you're like, you're much more present. You can listen better. You're less reactive.
Yeah.
Things don't piss you off so much because you know you kept your flame lit.
Totally. You know what I love is you brought in the internal world of words as well as the external world of words, which, you know, not to listen to that internal world of words and then to express externally, right? Also, that this one particular word, overwhelm, has a huge, it deteriorates us as a human being, and it's contagious.
Yes.
When I noticed when I would say I was overwhelmed, 6 other people's, me too. And
yeah,
next thing you know, we're
busy.
Yeah.
You used to be busy. Everybody said, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. It was like there's an international game of busy poker. You know, like, I'm so busy. Oh, really? No, I'm so busy.
Yeah.
Guess what? You don't get bonus points for busy.
Someday I just want to be like, no, I'm totally chill, man. I'll be like Matthew McConaughey. All right.
Katie Hendricks and I talk about this because sometimes people contact me like, I know you must be really busy. And Katie and I are both like, no, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I have a day, you know, but but I have boundaries, you know, I have a calendar. I keep it.
That's like the way the world, I mean, I actually remember a world like that. I remember a world where it was revered and great. Like, oh, you must not be busy because you're having brunch. How beautiful it is for you to be having brunch, you know, or come sit down, you know, for a minute, take a break. And then everything just sped up somewhere.
Well, and there's this false economy too, right? Because we start to say, you know, well, I don't have time to work out and I don't have time to write my 15 minutes and I don't have time to eat and I don't have time to go for a walk and I don't have time to talk to my friends. And then I wonder why I'm depleted and exhausted and my sense of purpose is completely gone. It's like, no, when you take the time to eat, rest, drink water, go for a walk, talk to your friend, do your work, now your tank is full.
Absolutely.
And you work so much more effectively. You're asking what I was doing new. So I've got this new planner. I created a planner.
I bought one.
I'm so excited.
I haven't gotten it yet. I'm dying for it. It's like the perfect planner.
I'm so psyched because I don't know about everybody. I just got tired of like my to-do list is over here and my calendar's over here and my journal's over there. And
this and that and this and that. And I saw that planner and I was like, oh my God, Sam, like you're saving my life. Everyone, seriously. I'll do a Facebook Live for you because I want that everyone to see.
And that's the free gift is actually you get the 7-day downloadable.
Oh, cool.
Version.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Everyone's going to want it. It's amazing.
And part of the reason it's so cool is because it gives you a way to sort of do your to-do list so you can actually look at where your priorities actually are and where your desire actually is and be honest with yourself.
Yes.
Very into like getting radically honest with yourself of like, wow, I keep saying I want to write a book and yet I'm not writing a book. Do I really give a shit about writing a book?
That's the question, right?
Right? Was this somebody else's dream?
Totally.
Oh, maybe I want to speak a book.
Right.
Maybe I just want to draw a book.
Right.
I just want to write 3 paragraphs and be done with it. Maybe, I don't know, you know, but like get real with yourself about what you really want.
Yes.
And so that's one side is this, how to do your to-do list in sort of a different way. And then every page, every day gets a whole page. So you can write in, like I write in, my morning prayer work. And
I
then,
saw that.
right. And then it's on there and I can carry that thought with me the whole day. Here, right? I don't know if I have it with me.
You have a commercial about it somewhere, and it was so hilarious because it was so true. And I bought it like right away. I was like, that's exactly what I need. Somewhere to put my real thoughts with my work thoughts, so they're not separate thoughts.
Right. And then I like put in lunch, and I make a big deal about lunch.
Yes.
And like what I'm going to eat and what I'm going to read when I take my 20-minute break. Because otherwise, I don't get hungry. I will skip lunch. I absolutely will work right. I like to work. So I'll work right through lunch. But then at 4, I'm a mess.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, lunch equals stamina.
Right.
Right. So I write it into my calendar.
Mood.
And mood. So I'm going to write it in and what I'm going to eat and the little 20-minute break I'm going to take. And I'm like, okay. And then, 6 p.m. CrossFit. And I write down, I can do hard things.
I saw that. That's right. I was like, dude, CrossFit's serious shit. Good job. Good job.
So terrible at it. It's hilarious.
It's okay.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. I was the last every single day to do the laps. Like I'm little and you think I'm in shape. I've got low capacity. I'm very slow. Like, and my coach there is like, doesn't matter. You finished. Doesn't matter. You finished.
That's right.
Good for you. I can do hard things.
I can do hard things. And when I see that written there, I'm like, that's right. That's right. I can,
That's
so it's
awesome.
like, because I get tired of, in calendars, like every little hour is tiny.
I know.
No, I need a whole page.
Yeah.
So you can draw, you can doodle, you can track whatever you're tracking, your income, your calories, your steps, your hugs.
This is the healing power of words too. Right? Like words are everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like, we have to be careful with our words.
Yeah.
Oh
and then there's a weekly self-assessment, so you can really be honest with yourself about like, what did you do that you're proud of? Because this is the other thing. It's so easy for us to lose track of our own progress.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And this is the wonderful thing about having a coach, working with somebody like Dawn, being in a mastermind, whatever to do. It just happened to me this morning where I was complaining in my mastermind about a problem I have. And my girlfriend was like, Sam, I remember 3 years ago, you wouldn't even have dreamt of having this problem.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, good point. She's like, look how far you've come that you have this kind of problem. This is a champagne problem, girl.
Awesome. That's true. It's funny. My old coach, I have a new coach. Do you know Molly Mahoney, the prepared performer?
Oh, I know who she is. We don't know each other.
You gotta know who she is because you guys are performer kind of people. She's created a business model, so she's helping me get to the next level. Last coach was a little too California salesy, and I loved her and she did great. She helped me build my list, the whole thing. But one of the things that she really drilled into my head, which I love, is she says, when you get to the point that you have trouble because you're in the multiple 6 figures and now you've got to figure out how to manage your money, she's like, you have a better problem to solve. And all life is the more problems you solve, the more money you make, or the more success you'll have, and whatever it is.
Well, it's like Stephen Covey said, right? In Secrets of not Highly Creative People, in Road Less Traveled, Scott Peck, right? Oldie but a goodie. He starts out right away. He says, life is nothing but an endless series of problems.
That's right.
That's what the Buddhists say. That's what life is. It's an endless series of problems.
That's right.
So the secret to a happy life is having problems you are really interested in solving.
Yes.
So this question of, how do I write well? How do I get past this voice?
Get it out of me. You nailed it when you said, maybe it's, so in my Create Your Dream Book program, it's not a book, it's a dream book. So sometimes it's a tiny little chapbook. Yeah. Sometimes it's art with just some big words on a page. Sometimes it's a 50-page Kindle book or a 20-page Kindle book or a book of poetry. Like, I think what you nailed is, if I'm going to have this problem, I'm not writing, I'm not being creative. Well, what is it that you do want, to write? Not what someone else told you to do. And if you can do the thing you want for 15 minutes a day, that's a totally different 15 minutes a day.
Yes.
That's what I love about your books, is you really gave me permission, especially your poetry book on Kindle. I still break that open. It's isn't it prayers to God or something?
An artist talks to God. Yeah.
An artist talks to God, and it's adorable. Everyone,
It's adorable.
it's adorable. And
I'll tell you, in all honesty, that was one of those projects that kind of got downloaded. Like I didn't really plan on doing that, and I just sort of found myself writing. And as I was writing, I'm like, I'm really not sure about this. When we're all done, I was like, I don't think I really care for these, and I sort of stuck them away. And then I took them back out about a year later, and I was like, I'm still not that crazy about these, and yet I feel like they need to be out in the world. And it was such a lesson in humility, because it's like, it doesn't matter what I think.
right.
It's not my job. You know,
Right.
it was my job to receive those words and to put it out in the world in a way that it could be. And I hear from people every day, you know, oh my gosh, it made me cry. Oh my gosh, my son, oh my gosh, you know, and I'm like, that's all I can do.
I think it's 20 pages.
Oh, it's very short. Yeah.
It's 20 pages, but it's poetry. So you read them over and over and over and over. Like that's the joke about poetry, right? Like you're not going to read 600 pages of poetry over and over and over, but it speaks to the human condition.
And they're deceptively simple. I mean, it's a little like, you know, Mary Oliver's like this, Billy Collins is a master of this. It's like these simple, ordinary words, and you think this isn't that big of a deal, and then by the end, you're like,
I know, and I feel so much better. Yes, and that's a great example. It's a great, perfect example to land on. Is what do you want for 15 minutes? And you don't. First of all, think about what Sam just said. I'll speak about you in third person. I don't know why. You didn't show it to anyone at first. You channeled it out of you. Then when it was time, you thought, maybe I should. Why not? Give it a shot. Put it out there, and boom, it was received with love. So it doesn't need to be this huge rush, I think, also to like, oh my God, everyone's going to see it. You can sit on it for a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, this is great. All of this is great. Like, I feel like we've just condensed so much awesomeness that I'll bet money that 99, I mean, this is hard, I don't know how I'll ever track this, but I'll bet money that I'll say 80% of the people watching this right now, here's my bet to you. I'm going to bet that you could just shut this off and go sit down for 15 minutes and then go buy Sam's books, because then you'll keep writing for 15 minutes, because this is powerful stuff.
Absolutely. And you can get they're on Audible too, if you like, if you're an audiobook.
Oh yeah.
They're an audiobook. But yeah, all of you turn this off. Once we're done, turn this off, get a drink of water, set your time, just set your cell phone for 15 minutes, set your timer for 15 minutes, and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Sit there and stare at a blank page for 15 minutes. Well, guess what? 15 minutes of enforced boredom never hurt a person.
Never hurt a person.
You can do it. Just see what happens. And then do it again tomorrow, and then do it again the next day, and do it again the next day.
I love this. Tell us a little bit more about the free gift, because it's so cool.
Oh, so it's just a 7-day version. It's undated, so you can start any time. And like I said, it's your real life planner for your real life, because you got a big life, you need a big planner. So it's
so cool.
It's the daily could-do list, and it asks you for not just what your project is, but rename it so it sounds like fun and not punishment.
Yeah.
How much, and then it asks you how much time is it going to take, or how much time are you willing to allot to
it?
How much money is involved going in or going out? And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how inclined are you to do it?
Oh, I love this.
Like, how much do you want to do it? Because there's some stuff, you know, I'm getting set to, you know, prep up my taxes. Now, nobody's waking up. I'm not going to wait for the morning that I wake up and go, I can't wait to get to that today. It's not going to happen. And when I say to myself, like, oh, look, here's this thing I got to do. It's going to take 2 hours. The money involved. Yeah, there's money involved. You know, inclination, 2, right, 2. So how am I going to motivate myself? Well, I can try to use willpower. That might work. I could promise myself a treat. Like, well, Sam, if you do your taxes today, you can spend, you know, tomorrow morning in bed reading. I'm like,
ooh, I love this.
I'm like, okay, then I'll do it. You know, those sparkly shoes you like.
Yeah. Or sushi. Sushi's like, you can wave sushi in my face. I'll be like, okay, I'll do it.
Right. Or maybe I'll call a friend and say, you know, hey, Dawn, I got to do this thing. So I just need you for a little accountability buddy.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And tell you that I did it. You know, like, how are you going to motivate yourself? Other times your desire is really high and you're like, oh, I really want to do this. And it's great to acknowledge, like, oh my God, I really wait to work on this book. I can't wait to do this thing.
Yes. Yes. Oh, this has been a blessing. Sam, it's always such a pleasure. And I always feel so great talking to you. So thank you so much for being here and for being here for all of us in such a weird, wacky time. And I think you and I are particularly lucky because I don't think our lives changed that much because we had our systems in place sort of for this.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. But I can't wait to have you back. We'll figure out something else. We'll have a good time and have a great, great day. And tell Kathy I said hi. I don't know her, but I've interviewed her. Is it Kathleen? I think it's Kathleen, right?
Yeah, she goes by Katie. Yeah.
Katie. It's always weird. Tell her I absolutely adore her husband's interviews and just have a wonderful week. Have a happy Monday. And
Great to
thank
see
you so
you,
much.
Dawn. You look beautiful. Thanks for being here, everybody. Mwah.
Bye.